Well, hello, and welcome to a hope to be a short and sweet Biomutant review. Not going to be too much of a review, I'm not going to show off too much. There's not too much to show off. So, yeah, I will quickly say going into this game, I wasn't expecting a whole lot, but I was expecting maybe something better than the product we actually managed to receive from 101. My biggest complaint with this game, it's tedious and repetitive. If that's anything that you can take away from this game after however long it takes for me to review this, like I say, hopefully not long, is just the bottom line is this game is tedious and repetitive. Why do I know this? Or why am I saying this? Well, first of all, here's your map. Ignore the yellow dots, they're the fast travel points. They're not collectibles, thankfully. These blue markers that you can see, they're the side quests. And I'm using that term very loosely, because 95% of these side quests are collectibles. And these green areas are story related, as taking over each village and tribe, with a moral system of being good or bad. Spoiler, I suppose the moral system does nothing. By the end of the game, it affects nothing. So you can go through this entire game and be a good boy like I did, or you can go through the entire game and be a bad boy and genuinely no difference whatsoever. I'm not going to spoil any of the decisions of good or bad, but let's just say, meaningless, they do nothing. Because the good and bad choices in this game are literally given to you in the most obvious way of, do I do the obvious good thing or the obvious bad thing? And then that's it. And then, like I say, by the end of the game, none of your choices have ever mattered. So yeah, the reason why I say this game is tedious and boring, here are your side quests. Defeat an enemy. Examine an item. Free some captives. Examine some notice boards. Open some washing machines. Open some toilets. Open, I think that's the oven. Open the microwaves. Open the TVs, I think. Solve some sundials, which I shit you not is press one button. Obviously locate some anti-heat suits. I've not bothered getting them because, well, again, these heat zones and cold zones that will like insta-kill you only hold these side quest collectible puzzle items. So once I figured that out, I never bothered doing them. Muscle squeezer, so again, that's a weightlifting machine, which increases your strength stat by an X amount. I don't know how much it does, but it goes up by a small amount. So yeah, all of these side quests are basically tied to collectibles or killing evil people or evil animals, whatever you want to call them. That is it. That is all that I've managed to find in this entire game. So, yeah. Actually, I will, just for the sake of this, because I'm right next to it, very quickly run there. Oh, frame rate. Oh yeah, that's the other thing that I will also need to mention. Actually, I will mention this before I forget. This entire game talks complete gibberish. So the animals that you meet and talk to speak their own crappy language that you're never meant to understand. So the narrator narrates everything. And it gets kind of tedious after a while because you hire actual actors or random people off the street to talk gibberish and make random noises with their mouth. I'm nowhere near what I thought that I was going to be. Oh, I can't even go in there because that's not how quickly fast travel over. Sorry about this. Be quicker going here. Oh yeah, I can't fast travel because I'm on a mount. But yeah, so obviously everything, so they hire people to speak complete gibberish and then you have the narrator just translating what they're saying into proper English. I don't see the point in this. If you're going to be hiring voice actors to speak gibberish, make it be gibberish for, I don't know, like an extremely rare NPC that you come across that speaks a really rare language that's now in the world. Like, whatever, have the narrator narrate it. But don't hire voice actors to speak gibberish and then just have one guy translate everything and only speak English the entirety of the game. It gets kind of boring after a while. Because the other problem is, because this game is so repetitive and copy and paste, doing the same 3 things over and over again, everyone has the same voice lines as what you've heard before. The narrator will always narrate the same lines. Your character will always have the same lines in response to what someone might say. So, like 80% of this game, I just mashed through all the text and dialogue because, again, for the taking over the tribes, the 3 tribe quests then lead into the tribe fortress, which always resulted in walking into a place and either fighting a mini-boss or persuading them not to fight. I never failed a persuasion stat or persuasion option. Another one is potentially go into a well or leave an area to activate some fireworks. You automatically take it over. And then the other one is fight 2 waves of enemies and then you take it over. You go into the fortress, you fight 2 waves of enemies, you then persuade or fight the tribe leader, which again, as I just mentioned, I never failed a persuasion stat, so I persuaded everyone, and again, being a good boy. So I persuaded them, or you fight them, and then you either choose to let them live or you put them in jail. That is your moral system in a nutshell. So of course I put them into my tribe to combine our forces together, because the whole story of this game is the tree is... it's like coming to the end of the world or something, and the tree can't sustain, so there's the potentiality that all life might die, so it's better if we band together. Or kill everyone, it's up to you. I decided to band together, like I say, without going into spoilers for stories, or lack thereof, because I didn't find this story to be gripping in the slightest. But basically, everything doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you pick.
Your mount ignore you.
So yeah, it's just that. But yeah, so the other point that I was going to make is the frame rate. As you can see, kind of, doesn't really work sometimes. The frame rate, especially when you're in combat and stuff, kind of just does not want to be anywhere maybe above 15 FPS. Which I guess I'm kind of fine with. But again, it is kind of annoying that sometimes I'm fairly certain this game has dropped button inputs because of the frame rate, or it's added button inputs because of the frame rate. So obviously now, because I'm in combat, I may as well talk about combat. Combat in this, it's alright. I'm not going to compare it to something as, say, like Devil May Cry, because that would be extremely unfair. So the combat in this is fairly decent. But it is kind of annoying, because as you can see, this big guy here, the gorilla mini-boss, yes, the names are unimaginative as ever, it gets kind of annoying, like you're trying to melee one guy or another, and then you get attacked by 3 more dudes. And when you're in the middle of, say, doing one combo, with which there aren't any, that's where there's only like 3 combos per weapon, but trying to do that, and you're trying to do one thing, then another, and you can't get out of your combo to, say, dodge this guy, block this guy, or do something else, it kind of feels like the combat wasn't well fleshed out or thought through. So what I decided to do is I decided to break this game. Those red red numbers you're seeing are my crits, because I don't know why I'm going into the map, because my current crit is at 8% for my ranged damage. I'm fairly certain the red numbers is crits. If it's not and it's just high damage, then whatever, I've never critted. But if the red numbers are crits, then even an 8% chance I'm relatively constantly critting with my gun, it's kind of a joke, because although my melee damage says 262 to 381 and my range only says 95 to 129, you don't actually do that amount. I'm fairly certain I haven't actually used my... So you do actually do that amount, but it feels like you're not doing the amount of damage that, as you can clearly... Like, I'm clearly doing less damage, right? With my gun. I'm maybe doing half the amount of damage per hit at best. But within one clip of the ammunition, you relatively killed something immediately. Whereas within melee, you've got to pretty much worry about everything that's trying to hit you. Like with the guns, the big guy, some of the guys just stand around not doing anything, waiting for the turn. So yeah, the melee, well, the combat in general is kind of a little bit of a mess. It is, so once I realized that I broke the game with the gun, that's when I just said screw it and stopped caring. There are also abilities you can unlock in this, like the flame, you can poison guys. I'm not paying attention, but you can poison guys, obviously you can electrocute them, you can do whatever. But they don't do anywhere near the amount of damage that just holding the gun button does. Just doing this, like look at his health, just dwindle. In one clip I've done more than half his health. And I believe he's actually over leveled compared to me. I think I'm only level 25. So a level 25 with a gun, an 8% crit chance, and I've killed it in 2.5 clips. Like, the melee combat is really not worth it in this game. It's not. At least not for me personally. Oh yeah, there's also, you can do some dodge matrix things. I never recommend doing that because you can actually miss most of your hits. So it's not really worth it. The game also has a crafting system. It's alright. I've not really used it to craft anything. Like I say, I've crafted my melee weapons. That were pretty decent, but I've not changed them since, like, after 6 hours of playing this game, really. So again, maybe it's because I wasn't exploring after I realized what the side content and side quest actually was. And maybe that's why I didn't bother. But yeah, like I say, overall this game's kind of just mediocre at best. And I really wouldn't recommend this to anyone at full price. And it's a shame to say, really, that I may never even recommend this game to anyone ever, personally. Yeah, the thing that I actually wanted to show you, where is it? It's in here. So here's your side quests, these, and these are also your puzzles the entirety of the game.
To get the keys in sequence.
Can you line white with white? Oh, well, I can do that. Well, now you've got to line white with white with white, because white connects with white. Because the colours have to be corresponding.
Left. Make them count.
I shit you not, that is your puzzle the entire game. Line white with white and orange with orange to solve a puzzle. That's all it is. Some of these side quest puzzle items give you items for doing them. Like I say, like the microwaves, the ovens, actually give you items that can actually be pretty decent to use.
Technology from yesterday's is still here today, even if it's
and that's just the item, I never use them, like this. So you can find items like this is a super rare item because it's red. But I may not put it on my gun because it might actually do more damage. But that's the thing overall with this game, is that, excuse me, that side quest in a nutshell explains, or that collectible side quest, whatever you want to call it, explains this game in a nutshell. Is you do that one puzzle over and over again the entirety of the game. These are your side quests and collectibles and put together. The other ones are only go into a location and kill those mini bosses. And then that's it. I'm sure there's some other quests that I'm missing that are few and far between of actually doing something. But for the most part, this game is just overly tedious and repetitive. So again, I mean, if that's something, if somehow something you've watched in the last 14 minutes, 15 minutes has entertained you, then sure, knock yourself out. This game's actually not that bad if you're looking for mind-numbingly tedious content just to get you through before the next game comes out. In which case, knock yourself out. This game isn't actually that bad, but again, beware that on PS4, and I would assume Xbox One, the frame rate is not great. I don't really have much more to say beyond this. Besides, like I say, what I said at the beginning, this game is just mind-numbingly tedious. And it's why I gave up doing most things, because personally, and again, this is probably final thoughts, because I actually might want to try and put this into a video at some point, but games made today and for the last few years have lost the plot, personally, because every game now wants to be a big open world filled with the same 3 side quests, with the same mind-numbing tribe stuff to take over, and the same tedious meh story with lackluster characters. This is what's become of open world games. I remember, and I mentioned this probably in part 1 of my Biomutant playthrough, but I remember, and this is just nitpicking, but I remember playing like Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic, these short, expansive RPGs that took you maybe 15 hours to beat, maybe slightly longer if you wanted to 100% them as best as you could. But like 15-hour games, and even back then they felt more than perfectly long enough. But now, ever since Far Cry 3 came out, and I am blaming Far Cry 3, again, good game, and different for its time, but now every game has to be an empty open world filled with the same tedious quests. That's your problem. So we need developers out there, and again, no developer's ever gonna watch this, or even if they do, what I've said so far, THQ Nordicum Experiment 101, I think your company is, what I've said, I'm not pointing the finger at you and saying, screw you. My problem is we need you people, these lesser AA devs, to pave the way, to tell these AAA studios like Ubisoft, no, we do not want big empty open worlds. We're proving that these shorter, more detailed, well-crafted games are what people actually want. And again, my opinion is my own, so again, take everything that I've said with a grain of salt. But I have completely dropped, and again, same thing with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, same complaints. Big, empty open world with nothing to do, with the same forgettable characters. I'm going to be reiterating myself when I eventually play Far Cry 6. I'm not playing it when it comes out, I will play it eventually. And that's the problem from here on out. Any more reviews that I do of any more open world games will probably, fingers crossed, hopefully not, will probably just be the same thing that I'll mention. Empty open world, tedious quests, forgettable story and characters, because that's what's become of these games now. And I haven't even been up to the Cluppy Dunes, I will admit. I've never gone up north because I haven't seen the point. So yeah, that's basically the gist of this review. TLDR: empty, tedious, forgettable. And that is the way forwards with these games. So we need us, the players, the gamers, the people who've played these games, to stand up and say, no, we don't want this. We expect better review. But, oh well, I'm only one person. Whether or not you agree with me is a different matter. But hopefully you enjoyed this 19-minute mini review rant maybe thing. If you enjoyed, do leave a comment. I would actually like to see anyone who's actually played this, whether or not you agree or disagree with me. I would actually like to have a conversation about this, maybe even just open world games in general. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Have a good rest of your day. Ta-ta.